This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers Report for this Sunday morning. I'm Seth Merrill, sitting alongside Jeff Carl. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Seth. How are you this morning?
Very good. And we talked a little bit just before we went on the air. You were getting a little horse retirement action over the weekend. You were up at Old Friends for their annual event. How was that?
That was nice. They had the Old Friends of Cabin Creek, just north of Saratoga, had their 5th annual birthday party. As we know, all thoroughbreds turn a year older when the calendar flips over 2014, every year actually. And my wife and I, Sherry, went up there. It was a very nice turnout. It was good to see Joanne Pepper, who was the owner and manager of the farm. Good to connect with her again. And I missed him, but I did see a picture of Jimmy Bond. Came up sometime during the day. 2 of his horses, Will's Way and Barron's, were there. So it's good that Jimmy made that kind of appearance to support their retirement there. They do such a great job. It's a little bit off the beaten path in Greenfield Center, but well worth the trip to go out there. And in addition to Thunder Rumble's out there, Crusader Sword's out there, Zippy Chippy's out there, and a bunch of others. Joanne and her staff of volunteers do a really nice job of caring for these horses year-round. And the funny thing is, Seth, Sherry and I had a farm in Maryland, a horse farm. And yeah, you get winter time in Maryland. It gets pretty darn cold. And we were out there for about an hour yesterday, and we looked at each other like, can you believe we did this? We actually did. And she says it to me all the time. She goes, can you remember when you were out in this weather all day long? I'm like, yeah, it was tough.
The horses all have their winter coats on?
Oh, yeah, they're nice and woolly, and they have, I know Joanne's Pepper's husband, Mark, built all their run-in sheds, and they are the best run-in sheds I have ever seen. They're almost like houses. So they're very, very well protected from the elements out there. It's just a nice spot. So if you ever feel nostalgic, you want to go see some of these old warriors out there, definitely worth the trip.
Yeah, and it's a good cause. There's an Old Friends website. You can make donations and whatnot. We've certainly had Michael Blown on with us in the past here on the network. And Michael Blown, of course, is the founder of Old Friends down in Kentucky. And then there was the offshoot farm up here in New York. And as Jeff said, some notable names. Certainly some names that folks will remember from Saratoga. Travers Winter. In fact, run the gamut. Travers Winter and over 100 with Zippy Chippy on the other side. So, yeah, but they do.
And Joanne says Zippy Chippy is one of the most popular ones there.
I'm sure. Yesterday in racing, it was a nice, fun day of stakes action. It wasn't, didn't knock it out of the park by any means. We had the Alex M. Robb in New York, notable there, Saratoga Snacks. That was kind of the story there, but we didn't get to see him run down in Florida. Down in Florida, I talked to Ron Nicoletti about the turf stake. I think the turf stake was the El Prado. That was ungraded, and as he said when we talked to him on Friday, it was a good field that deserved a grade, and I agreed with it. It was a very nice field. Unfortunately, the race was one of those hair pullers for me. Horse went out there on the front end, set some easy fractions, nobody challenged, gets it done in the it's so frustrating because your horse just never get, if you don't have that front runner, you just never get a run because you sit there the whole time going 25, 50, somebody go up there, and then at the top of the stretch, you know you're done.
Yeah, and you always wonder what's going through riders' minds. Sometimes it's instruction, sometimes it's just, they make a mistake. They don't judge the pace correctly, and they let a horse loose on the lead, and he doesn't come back.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. We are winding down to the end of the year. This week I'm racing across America. I'm going to touch on the guests and get some highlights. In fact, I'm loose on the lead. Next, my partner Steve Bick and I will talk about some of the highlights of 2013. I was wondering if you had any. For me, there was all kinds of things that certainly during the week I'll talk about. There were things, the fluky things, that the viral video of Spicer Cub, which still over the past couple of weeks I've seen replays of, was fun. There was some sad moments. We had one of the biggest stories of the year, obviously, just last weekend with Hollywood Park running their last race ever, but also the retirement of Ramon Dominguez was sad. I thought the 3-year-old picture this year, even though the boys wound up, by the time Saratoga was over, the division a little bit undefined, but I thought there was great stories along the year with Orb and the old school connections getting it done in the Kentucky Derby. Verrazano in the Haskell raised hopes of being something special that didn't quite pan out, but then at the end of the year, Will take charge, string some wins together, and winds up putting some definition on that 3-year-old class. So I thought the 3-year-olds during the year, again, were very entertaining. So it ran the gamut. I thought there was fun and fluky stories. There was some good stories for the industry. I think Maryland racing, where you were for years and years, finally came together and is having a little bit of a resurgence now. That's a nice story, too.
Absolutely. It's really nice to see the Maryland tradition of horse racing get a little bit of a boost. They seem like they finally got their act together where everybody's on board. They've got a 10-year plan in place that's going to ensure some, quality racing. I just saw on your Equidaily website that the breeding is up about 13%. So that's just really good signs. For me, Seth, personally, I think the highlight of my year was the Travers Stakes. I mean, obviously it was great to see my friend and former boss Shug McGahee win the Kentucky Derby. Excuse me, but as far as me being there and watching a race, watching the Travers Stakes right inside the winner's circle and seeing Will take charge, make that run, to me that was the biggest thrill I had personally this year.
Yeah, it certainly, again, that 3-year-old picture was kind of fun, and being defined as it was. And as I say, there were stories related to that. The old school with McGahee and the Phipps winning the Derby, Gary Stevens being in the mix again, coming out of retirement. That was a fun story, too. And then Wayne Lucas, who, up at Saratoga, didn't win that many races. Well, you throw in the hopeful and the Travers, you walk away with a pretty good season. And again, the Gary Stevens, similar situation. If you look at the year-end stats, as far as number of races won, he doesn't quite stack up to Javier Castellano by any means. But you throw in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and you throw in the Breeders' Cup Classic and races like that, and then he winds up the year winning the Grade 1 on the opening day at Santa Anita as well. So it was coming out of retirement, that was a great story, too.
Absolutely. And for me, a professional highlight was being able to do the Legend Series this summer in Saratoga. I want to thank Capital TV for supporting me on that. We talked about Wayne Lucas, and actually there's a woman at the old friend's birthday party yesterday that came and saw all but one of them live, and I told her, I said, to me, the one I enjoyed the most doing, maybe not enjoyed, but I actually got a little nervous, was doing Wayne Lucas, because everybody else that I interviewed, full disclosure, I knew a little, in some fashion, I knew them. Either worked with them, rode with them. I'd never actually had a personal relationship with Mr. Lucas, and I'm telling you, it was just a moment when he walked in to do the interview. Of course, he was early, always early, and he sat down next to me, and I said, well, Mr. Lucas, I said, for the next hour, I'm going to call you Wayne, so that's okay. He says, yeah, that's fine, no problem. And then I wanted to show him my outline of, what I wanted to talk to him about. And he looked at me and says, no, don't tell me anything. He says, son, you just fire away, just like I told Bob Costas. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's comparing me to Bob Costas. And but he did, because he goes, you just fire away. You just, whatever question. And I'm telling you, it was like a master class. He was just straight money. Hopefully we get a chance to show that again. You'll see how good it was. And what really made me feel good is I went back a couple days later to the barn area to visit Mr. Lucas and thank him again. And, I asked him advice. I said, because obviously he's been interviewed by Bob Costas and everything. And I said, Mr. Lucas, can you help me out a little bit? Is there anything you think I could have done better? He says, no, son. He says, first thing I said to my assistant, he said, you were prepared, you were professional, you did a great job. Well done.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that he's now become an elder statesman of the sport, and he's been around so long and had so many top horses that, if you tee him up, he's gonna knock it out of the park.
It was just fast. And even my wife says, when he enters the room, he has this aura about him. And the funny thing was, I had my blue pinstripe suit set up, ready to go. And Sherry says, no, go with your gray suit. Good thing I did, because Mr. Lucas walked in with his blue pinstripe suit, which I guarantee you cost a heck of a lot more money than mine did. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Again, I just want to thank Capital TV for allowing me to do that and support us, and still getting positive feedback.
Yeah, those were great shows. It was a really nice summer up in Saratoga.
Certainly was,
I was able to do Racing Across America, got a lot of great guests there. And then you added to the programming with those Legend series from the museum. Of course, the Handicappers Report. And the beautiful part about that is, not only the Legends in the museum, but the Racing Across America in the morning. Everybody's at Saratoga. It's in the crossroads of the racing world. Yeah. So, I had Jonathan Shepard on and Alan Jerkins and Castellano, and it was a lot of fun, certainly. And so hopefully, just from a fan standpoint, sitting home and watching myself, the great morning programming here on the network up in the summer.
And like you said, just the accessibility of all those, everybody involved in racing. And, it's just watch them cross paths coming over the set, and you're coming and going, and you get to connect and see a lot of the great stars of our game.
And it's the best racing set in America, I think.
Certainly.
We're sitting there, and they're working out on Clare Court behind us.
Yep.
We're watching the 2-year-olds come out of the gate in the morning out in front of us. A lot of fun. So, yeah, year in and year out, that's a highlight, certainly. All right, why don't we shift our attention out to the handicapping portion of the program. Jeff's going to take a look at Aqueduct a little later on. I'm going to kick things off at Gulfstream. And, Jeff, I'll say the last time I was in here Thursday, I handicapped Gulfstream, and I think I'm back on the horse now with the plays of the day. I called one play of the day, called an exacta box on Friday, and winners on top. I think I only had a couple. It was a little light, but I called one play of the day, an exacta box, and it was $72, I think, something like that. So it was a decent play of the day, and now stringing back over the past couple of weeks, included in there was a nice $400 exacta box. Those make you healthy pretty fast. But I think I'm back, because over the fall, I've said it over the past couple of weeks, I just felt like, we were hitting. There were a couple of very nice days, but the plays, I wasn't kind of keyed in. All of that said, I find this Gulfstream card a little bit of a skull buster, so we'll see what happens.
Well, hopefully you'll stay on your roll. Let's move along. The opener is a mile, is a maiden special weight event for 3 and up.
And as I say, this is a Gulfstream card that I'm not super excited about. I think for a weekend, it's a little weak, but we'll see what we can do. 3, 4, 12, and 2. The number 3 is Leader Avenue. And just feel that this horse might prove interesting off the layoff. Only a couple of starts so far for Kieran McLaughlin. It's Kieran, it's Darley. This is a horse, obviously, with those connections, has some very nice breeding. They paid $250,000 for this horse. Debut in May of 2012 at Belmont. An okay 4th place finish behind some promising runners. Followed that up February of this year, so a long layoff. February of this year, improved nicely in that event to run 3rd. Now another long layoff. And as I say, the first couple of starts were a little bit interesting. Improvement start 1 to start 2, but there's some long layoffs. So we'll hope this one is in some decent form and has gained some maturity off of that layoff. But I just find this one interesting. As I say, this card is kind of a skull buster, and this is one of those races. I think you can make a case for probably 6 in here, but I went with Leader Avenue. Just have a feeling off the layoff could be interesting. Second spot, the number 4, Charlie's Picnic. First 5 starts of the career were on dirt. Then last time out, they moved this horse to the turf and showed some nice improvement with a just missed effort last time. So I think they found a home on the turf. Since then, has come down to Palm Meadows and put a good bullet workout on the turf as well. So I think Charlie's Picnic, again, found a home on the grass. Then we'll go to the outside, the number 12, March Reward. This horse has some pretty competitive buyers and may have ranked as my top pick. I just think at this mile distance and being stuck out in the 12 post may have a little bit too much to overcome. We'll see, but I think the post position is going to be a little bit of a negative for March Reward, who otherwise I think fits very, very well with this bunch. In the first at Gulfstream, 3, 4, 12, and 2.
That's going to take us to race number 2 at Gulfstream Park. 5 furlongs. We're staying on the turf. This is an allowance optional claiming event for 3 and up.
2, 9, 12, and 5. The number 2 is Gentleman's Code, and this is a Wesley Ward turf sprinter. I like that combination, certainly, and this horse finds some class relief in here. Has been racing most recently a 62,000 conditional tag, couple of allowance races before that. Goes for a 25 tag today. Again, class relief and Wesley Ward for a confirmed turf sprinter. I've said it before, in these turf sprints, I like horses that are confirmed turf sprinters. That's the direction I'll tend to go to first. And this is one of those with a trainer who does very well with turf sprinters as well. Number 9 in the second spot, that is Fast Time. Fast Time has some pretty solid numbers, but been off since March. Now the comeback is getting some class relief, so if there's some fitness there, the class relief may overcome the long layoff. The last couple of times this horse was in for a 25 tag. That was back in March and April of 2012. This horse won pretty easily. Most recently has been racing in optional claimers, not for the tag. I think this horse today, again, is going to be very competitive if ready off the layoff. Third spot, we'll go outside, number 12, Pirate's Pleasure. Horse comes in from Southern California, and I think looks like a pretty good fit with this bunch. Numbers seem competitive. couple of starts back at Hollywood, was a very good maiden breaker, going 6 furlongs on the turf. So again, this is a confirmed turf sprinter. Last time out threw in a little bit of a dud. That was off a layoff. Now gets to pretty much string a couple together. Been off the better part of 2 months. But again, I think has come over to Gulfstream, put in 3 works since, and the last couple seem kind of interesting. I think Pirate's Pleasure can fit with this crew. I have it in race number 2, 2, 9, 12, and 5.
And your top choice number 2, Dylan Davis is named on. Young apprentice Dylan Davis was in a spill yesterday. Son of Robbie Davis has reported. I saw on Twitter that Robbie made the statement that x-rays were negative. He's just a little bit sore. I think it's going to determine today when he wakes up how sore you are, because that's when it really hits you the following morning. But thankfully it wasn't anything broken, so we'll have to see if Dylan's going to be able to ride today. We'll see what happens. Like
and he's riding pretty well at the meet.
Absolutely. And as I said, it depends on how he feels this morning. But fortunately, nothing broken. Moving on to race number 3 at Gulfstream Park, 7 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event for maidens 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Claiming price of $12,500.
1, 7, 4, and 5. The number 1, Little Jimmy. Now this is one of those that on the day looks like one of the better bets. It's Mike Maker, Ken and Sarah Ramsey. Claimed this horse for 15, 2 starts back. Ran for 20 last time. Showed some nice improvement with the finishing position. Now drops down to 12-5. I think this horse for Ramsey is spotted to win. The drop here just says to me the owner is looking for a win. So Little Jimmy, probably one of the better bets on the card, or one of the most likely winners. Number 7, St. Speedy. Tossed the latest, and then once you get beyond that, I think this horse fits pretty well with these. Now the last was over a sloppy sealed track. I think that could be the excuse. Certainly that last one looks like an aberration as compared to the ones just prior. I think we'll probably get closer to those prior races today, in which case St. Speedy will be right in the mix. And then Van Nistelrooy in the 3rd spot, the number 4. Just fits on the numbers. You know, this isn't a particularly strong field. Last 3 starts has been showing some improving numbers. You know, as I said, this is not a day where there's things that are jumping off the page at me necessarily. And this is one of those where once you get down to this 3rd spot, I think the top 2 kind of are logical. Then once you get down to looking in the 3rd and the 4th spots, you're just kind of parsing out a little bit. Van Nistelrooy I had in the 3rd spot, Judge Lou in the 4th. I think I could have easily flipped those, maybe even thrown Private Phone in the mix, or Gargamella, Mellow, the number 3 horse. But I wound up going 1, 7, 4, and 5.
That's going to take us race number 4 at Gulfstream Park. 7.5 furlongs on the turf, maiden special weight event for 2-year-old fillies.
And typically, these are the kind of races that I like. Maidens on the turf, it's kind of an interesting race. And this is one I'll play into, but I couldn't call it a play of the day. It's just there are too many variables in here. I have it 11, 10, 2, and 3. The number 11, for instance, I Am Now. 'Tis Now on top. Todd Pletcher trains. You know, I think there's a combination here of nature and nurtures that's interesting. However, on the bottom side, the dam produced a sibling called Top Position that took 6 starts to win. Also produced a sibling called Divisimi, 0 for 4 over in Europe. So, you know, there's mixed messages on the breeding. It is Todd Pletcher. There is a sire that I respect. So I'll put I Am Now on top, but not with a lot of confidence. Just a new kid in town, the number 10 horse, Dale Romans, 12-1 on the morning line. Lemon Drop kid, first-time starter on turf. Again, I think there's interesting nature and nurture here. But again, the dam produced a sibling called Storm Crossed that took 5 starts to win. So they're again, mixed messages. It's a race, as I said, I'll play into because I think the number 10 will hold some interesting value in here. So I'll probably play some exactas. But I can't pull the trigger with a play of the day because it's just, there's not enough confidence there. 3rd spot, the number 2, Blush again. Kitten's Joy on top. First-time starter, Wayne Catalano. So, again, there's a little nature and nurtures that's interesting. In my 4th spot, I have Miss Leck, the number 3 horse. That's a horse that will certainly take a lot of action. I may certainly regret putting this one down in the 3rd spot off of the last start, which was the first start on turf. Nice 2nd place finish, a good number. I think that horse is going to be interesting as well. The Bill Mott 2nd-time starter, Calm Water, could be interesting. Dale Roman's other horse, Gambler Rose, may surprise. Free Thinker in the 2nd start. So, as I said at the top, this is a day where the card is a little bit of a head scratcher. There are a number of races like this where it's just, there's nothing that's really attracting my attention. I could have gone a number of different ways. So as I say, I'll play into it because I think it's a race that'll offer some value, but I do it without a lot of confidence. 11, 10, 2, and 3.
Moving along, race number 5 at Gulfstream Park, 1 mile, the Ocala Stakes. I've spent plenty of time there. This one's for fillies and mares 3 and up, registered Florida breds.
6, 7, 1, and 2. And speaking of that, I'd like to be there right now. Number 6 on top, my pal Chrissy had a 3-race win streak snapped last time with the trip to New York. Shipped up to New York for Marty Wolfson. They went in the Grade 2 Go for Juan. Ran an okay third there in a field of 7. But again, prior to that down here in Florida at Gulfstream Park, 3 races leading into that. I think with the return to Gulfstream, Javier Castellano back on board, my pal Chrissy should be very, very interesting in here. Number 7, Sweet and Discreet. Just a horse for a course angle. This horse in 4 starts over the Gulfstream Strip, 3 wins and a 2nd place finish. So certainly likes Gulfstream and goes out for Todd Pletcher. With the races at Gulfstream being the kind that indicate this horse will have a lot of promise, hasn't lived up to it out of town, but again, it's a horse for a course play. Number 1, Rock On Baby in the 3rd spot. This horse is kind of interesting because Marty Wilson trains my top pick, my pal Chrissy. Marty Wilson picks the horse I have in the 4th slot, number 2, Devil's Cave, and the number 1, Rock On Baby that I have in the 3rd spot. So Marty Wilson, 3 in here. So I think this horse is kind of interesting with the move from the turf. This horse seems a little more turf meant over their career. But it's, again, one of those races where I think you have to respect the uncoupled part of the entry from the trainer. He's got 3 in here. My top picks, my pal Chrissy, 7 to 5. So Marty Wolfson certainly knows how good my pal Chrissy is. And he still wound up entering a couple others, including this one, moving from the preferred surface of turf. So I just found the scenario kind of interesting with Rock On Baby. In the 5th at Gulfstream, 6, 7, 1, and 2.
You wonder if he's going to run all 3.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah,
but
makes
that's
you wonder
why
if he put them in to kind of ensure the race goes. Maybe he pulls one out.
That's a possibility, but that's kind of why I included the other 2.
Yeah.
I would assume one or the other will run, and Rock On Baby, being more of a turf horse, may come out. But if he stays in, that's when he becomes interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. There you have it. Set selections for races 1 through 5 at Gulfstream Park. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll finish out the Gulfstream Park card. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV network.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday morning. Before the break, Seth gave you his selections for Gulfstream races 1 through 5. Let's move along to race number 6. 5.5 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event for 2-year-old fillies. The claiming price is $25,000 down to $20,000.
3, 6, 1, and 2. The number 3 is tough to stop. On the class drop, this one looks interesting. But again, it's just, this is as opposed to the Ramsey class drop or earlier. I'm not quite sure. This one's maybe a little bit of a concern because the last couple of starts were pretty good. Now, given that they may just be being realistic. Couple of good starts, but couldn't get it done in 40 claimers or in maiden special weight company last time. So they might just be being realistic. But again, this one's maybe a little bit more of a concern than that Ramsey dropper earlier. But I think tough to stop is the likeliest one to beat. Dreamin' of Carmela C, the number 6 horse in the second spot for me. This one goes out off of a career debut that was very, very good. A near miss as the 8-5 favorite that day. Claim for $12,500 goes up to $25,000. Now, I think this is more than just a confident move up off of the claim. I think they looked and saw what this horse did at $12,500, and they're saying, hey, you know, maybe this horse is better than that. So with that race under the belt, I'm not concerned about the move up. I think this horse will fit very well. So Dreamin' of Carmela C in the second spot, and then we'll go with number 1, Poor Etiquette. Has some back numbers that fit. The last couple of races certainly don't inspire confidence, but I'm going 3 and 4 starts back, hoping we can rebound to those. It is Marty Wolfson, so I think this horse, you know, the last couple of starts, 40 cents to the dollar, 9-5 favorite in the last couple of starts, and just did not show much of anything. I think this horse has the potential, however, to rebound back to those numbers. So I'll throw it in the mix. In the 6, 3, 6, 1, and 2.
Number 6, Dreamin' of Carmela C, the hunch bet for our man Mick Richards, who does great work behind the camera. I mentioned Legends at the top of the show. Couldn't have done it without Mick. He did all the shooting, all the editing, put together some great, great shows. Mick's just a great asset here. So that's his hunch bet of the day, Dreamin' of Carmela C. That's his lovely wife's name. Moving on to race number 7 at Gulfstream Park. 6 furlongs maiden claiming event. For 2-year-olds, the claiming price is $12,500.
He's already out on his Carmela hunch. What was the there
was another one.
The Carmela horse up at Saratoga this year that won, like first time out of the box,
yes.
And we gave that one to Mick as the hunch, and he put a couple of bucks on it. 4, 8, 7, and 9. The number 4 is Storm Haboob. This one is going to be best in here if able to repeat that career debut for Tommy Proctor. Went out and just missed up at Churchill Downs back late November. I said it before, that November meet, that fall meet, traditional fall meet at Churchill certainly produces some salty 2-year-olds. Now, this guy was going for a 15 tag, so that, you know, wasn't necessarily the toughest of 2-year-old events, but comes back for 12-5 off of that race. Again, I think number 4 will be the one to beat here. Second spot, the number 8, C, Zara Run. Toss the turf experiment. This horse is going to bounce back and run better than that last one. It was just clearly just a turf experiment. They had 6 career starts. Horse had run okay in a few of them, and then I'm sure they just decided, let's see what we have on the turf. Well, they found out, not much. Gets back to the dirt today, look for a rebound to form that will be competitive with these. And then in the third spot, now hear this, the number 7 horse, showed some life last time. Career debut wasn't much, but last time had a little bit of a wake-up call. Adds the blinkers today. That could move this one even a little bit more forward. So we'll throw that one in the third spot. In race 7, 4, 8, 7, and 9.
That's going to take us race number 8 at Gulfstream Park. 7 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 3 and up, which have never won 2 races. The claiming price is $10,000.
6, 2, 1, and 4. The number 6 is Gaetano T. Got some education at this level last time. Had been racing in maiden company as high as, what are we looking at, 32 at one point, 20, 25, 12-5. A couple of 16s, broke the maiden for 12-5. came out of that maiden win and went into this 10,000 non-winners at 2. I've said it before. Sometimes they'll take a start or two to kind of figure it out when they move up a level. This one ran decently first time against limited winners, and I think fits in with this bunch today. So Gaetano T in the top spot. Number 2, Risky Guy. Gets some class relief. The trainer interests me. He's running a lot of horses at Gulfstream so far, but a little cool at the meet. So I'm kind of keeping my eyes on him. He came on the scene a couple of years ago and came on the scene with a kind of a burst. But again, this particular season at Gulfstream, struggling maybe a little bit early, but with the class relief, this horse becomes interesting. As I say, trainer interests me, and I think there may be a little bit of a breakout ready to go for this guy, but the jockey's on an O for 2013. So that was enough for me to put this horse underneath in the mix. Because off of that last race, I think this horse could be very interesting. And then in the third spot, the number 1, Decisive David. I think this horse might rebound to some of the good numbers this horse fired this past spring and summer with the class relief. In the 8, 6-2, 1 and 4.
Gulfstream Park, race number 9 is 1 mile on the turf course. Allowance optional, claiming event for fillies and mares 3 and up.
12, 10, 5, and 4, and I used the 12. I use it with some trepidation. It's Quality Kitten. It's Ken and Sarah Ramsey. It's Mike Maker. And this horse won the first 2 starts of the career. Then they got ambitious and dropped in the grade 2 Mrs. Revere last time. Now, I think this horse is more properly spotted today, but leaves from the 12 hole going a mile on the turf. There was a horse earlier on the card, same situation that I took a shot. Again, used it in the mix, but use it down further because I think it's going to be perhaps a little too much to overcome. So I used a Quality Kitten, again, with some trepidation. Similar situation to my second horse, but there may be a little bit more of a tactical advantage for the number 10, Will to Shine. Will to Shine is just a pace play, having shown plenty of early speed. I think this horse, if sent from the outside, may get some good position going into the first turn and then be very interesting. And speaking of interesting, I'll use the number 5, Interesting, on the first time over from Europe play. Now, this was not a horse racing against particularly the best over in Europe, but the last couple of races were at Chantilly, October of last year and March of this year. So the layoff, a little bit of a concern, but the horse coming in from Europe for Tommy Albertrani could be, just a kind of an interesting play in here. So in the 9th, I have a 12, 10, 5, and 4. Haven't called the play of the day yet. I'm going to call one in here just so I have something to hang my hat on for this afternoon. As I said, it's a card where I don't have a lot of confidence. And using the outside horses in this race, I'm still a little dicey. But we'll take a little shot in race number 9 so we have a little action. Box up the 4 in here. 12, 10, 5, and 4.
That's going to take us to the 10th and finale at Gulfstream Park today. 1 mile on the turf for 3 and up, which have never won 3 races or which have not won a race on the turf since August 28th. The claiming price is $16,000.
1, 8, 4, and then if the 15 comes in from the AE list, I'll say take a look at the 15 too. The number 1 is Sailor's Creek. Just a huge drop. Mike Maker, Ken and Sarah Ramsey. Again, other trainers, owners, you may question a drop of this magnitude, but with Ramsey, I think they're just looking for a win. Similar situation with Logan Street. This one's dropping off of a win, but I think they're just trying to properly spot the horse. And then the number 4, Silver Track, another one getting some class relief. It's Joel Rosario. That attracted my attention too. So I think the combination of a top jock and a horse getting a little bit of class relief in here is interesting. Again, it's a race that has some question marks, and you can make cases for and against a few of them. I went 1, 8, and 4, and take, again, a look at the 15 if he comes in off the AE list in race 10.
There you have it. That's selections for today's Gulfstream Park card. We're going to take another break. When we come back, you'll get my picks for Aqueduct. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV network.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrill and Jeff Carl. I just took a look at Gulfstream. Now we'll shift our attention to Aqueduct, their opener today. State-bred optional claiming event. These are 2-year-old fillies, 75 tags, non-winners of one other than the condition, 5.5 furlongs the trip.
6, 2, and 5 in the opener. Number 6, Champagne Ruby. She has a $75,000 for sale sign on her butt right now. And you know what? Last week she tried to stretch out in the Eastview Stakes, set the pace, held on okay, couldn't hold off Flip Cup, who won, but she held on for second. Got beat 4.5 lengths. Now she's going to be cutting back to 5.5 furlongs. She won races at 4.5 at Presque Isle. She's won races at 6 furlongs. And I'm saying she's got a price tag on her because she is in for the $75,000 portion. This is a filly that cost $5,000 last year as a yearling, owned by Clyde Rice, who's the father of Linda Rice. They like to move horses, make a profit. So, you know, I think she's good enough to win this race, but also she is for sale today. If anybody wants her for $75,000, Seth, you going to pony up?
Sure. I got to get a couple partners in first.
Okay. Then my second choice is the number 2, Henry's Gale. I really thought it was a nice-looking debut score for this daughter of Disco Rico on December 12th. That was at the $35,000 level. Claimed that day by David Jacobson, and I think he might have got himself a nice little New York bred filly because, you know, from what I could see on the TV, not only did she win nicely the first time out, but she was also like a very nice-looking filly. And we'll see if she can move forward from that race. She is in for the allowance portion of this race, and I do definitely think there's room for improvement even off that nice debut effort. So the elevation to this entry-level allowance, I think she can handle it. Champagne Ruby obviously has a little bit more substantial form to her. That's why I put her on top. But I do like the number 2, Henry's Gale, underneath her. And for third, at a price to throw in the mix, I went with the number 5, Summerdale. I'm going to be trying dirt for the very first time. And she is a daughter of More Than Ready, so maybe you can question whether or not she's going to handle the dirt. She's out of a Storm Boot mare, which suggests dirt. But the thing I like about her, she won first time out, which always says that, you know, they know what their job is. She wasn't bet that day. She did win first time out. They ran her in the Chelsea Flower stake race, an open stake race, where she really wasn't competitive, even though she set the pace. You know, again, you could say there's a question mark whether or not she's going to handle the dirt, but I think there's some quality there. So at 12-1, I think she's worth putting in the mix. 6, 2, and 5 in the Aqueduct opener.
Race 2 is a maiden claimer, $12,500 tags, 3-year-olds and up, going 3/4 of a mile.
I went 4 with the 1 entry 7 here. The number 4, Kissed and Missed. 2 good starts at Parks earlier this year. 1 on the dirt, 1 on the turf. It's been off since September 9th, so, you know, maybe he got a couple good races in him. He was 4th, and he was 3rd in maiden special weight on the turf, so he can run either way. And if you can run over that park surface, I think you can run over the inner track. Going to be adding blinkers. Like I said, just got a couple good races under his belt. I think he fits very nicely at this 12-5 level. You know, maiden 25 on the dirt at Parks. 12-5 here this time of the year is probably comparable. So Manuel Franco Labor is doing a nice job out there. So let's put Kissed and Missed in my top spot. For second, I have the David Jacobson entry of Lincoln Flyer and Chief Scout. I'm a little iffy on the number 1 Lincoln Flyer, the plain one. You know, he was a well-beaten third for 12.5. He was claimed that day by David Jacobson. We know David does a great job first off, but you could say I'm a little bit iffy with that one. The 1A Chief Scout, I like this one a little bit more. Cornelio Velasquez is named on both, so I don't know which ones he's going to run. Chief Scout, the 1A, was second at this level last time out. And for third, I'm going to go with the number 7, Do It for Dennis. Another long shot to throw in the mix at 15-1. At least he did something in his previous race, which was his third career start. His first race, he never got involved. Next race, he was a little bit into it. Next time out, mile and 70, 12.5, this level. He was really on the pace, kind of hung in there for a little while and faded. So now with the cutback in distance, at least he got some running done that day, and sometimes that they can move forward off of that. So at 15-1, let's throw him in the mix. 4, 1 entry, 7 in the Aqueduct second race.
The third race today is a $100,000 stakes race. It is the Lord of the Night for 3-year-olds and up, going a mile and 70.
3, 6, and 2 here. The number 3, Regulus, is my top choice. And I'm thinking that he probably needed his last outing. He was returning from a 9-month layoff. He set the pace going 7 furlongs, faded a little bit late. But today, I think with that race under his belt, they're going to add blinkers today. He appears to be the fastest of everybody in the early stages. The number 4, Colleen Sailor, has been showing speed at Finger Lakes. Speed at Finger Lakes and speed in an Irish are completely different things. So I think Regulus, especially with those blinkers on, should be able to have the front, and they can just get him to relax a little bit at 6-1. I think he might be able to take this field wire to wire. He's going to have to hold off a tough horse in number 6, my second choice, Preterio. He is your logical favorite. He's been on the board in 3 different stake races, and the conditions of this race has never won a sweepstakes. This horse has been very, very close. I think David Cohen's going to be very comfortable tracking Regulus up the backstretch. He's posted well toward the outside, so he can keep his eye on everybody in this race quite easily. I think he'll be comfortable tracking my top choice, Regulus, on the backstretch. Hopefully Regulus can shake loose and be a decent price winner for me today. Then for third, I'm going to go with the number 2, Farhan. He's winless since mid-August, and that was on the turf. Last few races, they run him, Kieran McLaughlin ran him on the dirt. And I mean, the form's okay. I mean, third in the optional claimer, 3 level allowance, optional claimer of 100,000. I mean, he was third that day, so he's okay. I'll put him in for third, 3, 6, and 2 in the Aqueduct third race.
Fourth today at Aqueduct, yet another maiden claimer. This time the tag's $50,000. These are 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs.
8, 4, and 9 here. The number 8, Sales Wonderful Girl. She should have benefited quite a lot from her debut on October 6th, the maiden special weight ranks. You know, she was 4th that day after setting the pace, bobbed a little bit to break, but still able to get on the lead. And then, you know, I'd spent a little bit of time, about a little more than 2 months since. You never know what happens with 2-year-old fillies. You know, they get a little sick, they get a little dinged up off that first race, but not too long of a layoff. So I'm not all that concerned about the drop down. I just think that trainer Carlos Martin is putting her into a winning spot. I do like the move on December 14th, where they worked her 48-2 out of the gate, kind of put her up on her toes. Maintenance work after that. Posted well toward the outside, so I went with the number 8, Sales Wonderful Girl, in my top spot in the fourth. For second, I went with the number 4, Believe in Faith. I had to go back and take a look at her last race because she didn't finish. And the comment was bump start rank pulled up. And so that's what happened. She broke extremely sharply from the 1 post and then just bolted, just made a right-hand turn. The rider, Luis Saez, had to snatch this horse up because it caused him, quite a bit of domino effect with the other horses, and then he just pulled her up. So, draw a line through that. Her previous start was a good race where she was second for $75,000. A nice work subsequently coming into this race. So, you know what? If Believe in Faith doesn't act up in, coming out of the gate and, with Cornelio Velasquez aboard, he's a good hand out of there, so I think he'd be able to keep her straight. Let's put her in the second spot. And for third, I'm going to throw in another long shot, as I did earlier in these maiden races, with a couple shorter prices or horses on top. But maybe a horse you could look at to throw in your exotics might be the number 9, Lauded. This is a daughter of Medaglia Doro, who just trailed throughout in her career debut on November 10th, maiden special weight on the turf. You know what? That was in November. They've regrouped with this filly. They're going to add blinkers. Trainer Mark Hennig certainly knows what he's doing. Again, has Manuel Franco aboard. So at 20-1, with that kind of pedigree, you'd have to think that there's some run in there somewhere. She's out of a Mr. Prospector mare. She cost $200,000. I know that doesn't mean everything, but to me, there's got to be a little bit more in there. And at 20-1, why not throw her in the mix? 8, 4, and 9 in the Aqueduct fourth race.
Fifth race today is an optional claiming event. Claiming tag's $12,000. It's actually an optional claim or starter allowance. These are 3-year-olds and up. They'll go a mile and a 16th.
You know, and Seth, everybody's in for the starter allowance portion. It seems to be a trend when they have these optional claim and starter allowance. It's just, 99% of the horses are in for the starter allowance portions because you know what? If you got a horse that's been a claiming horse and they're in good form, you put them in for these starter allowances and you get to bring them back so you don't lose them. And that's why, it makes you wonder whether or not they even should just make them a starter allowance. But we'll see. The number 5 is my top choice. I went 5, 8, and 9 here. Number 5, AP Sino. Seth, if he runs back to his last 2, he just wins this race. He was second to 8 Too Fast to Catch in the Broad Brush Stakes at Laurel last time out. He's that horse that we talked about a couple weeks ago after he won this race, trained by Tim Keefe, I think he's won 11 or 12 stake races or something like that. And before that, AP Senior was second in the Swatara Stakes at Penn National. So this is a horse who's really, really in good form right now. His rider is coming with him. Never a bad sign when you're going to come to make that trip. Makes you feel like that there has some confidence. Now, the interesting thing about this horse, Seth, is that I took a look at his trainer stats. Trainer name is Osvaldo Rojas. He has 5 wins this year. Guess how many wins AP Sino has? 5. 61 starters. And AP Sino, I guarantee you, he is the star of that barn, and as he well should be. So maybe he gets win number 6 for his trainer today in the Big Apple. Let's go out to number 8, Mr. Woolman, for my second choice. Just trying to find something with some value that I can hook up with AP's Sino. Mr. Woolman, not a bad effort, a third for $35,000 in his last start. Before that, he won 12-5, so he's just in good form right now. For trainer Pat Quick, again, Manuel Franco aboard, who I really like what he's doing out there. Put him in a second spot just because maybe he gives me a little bit of value. And for third to number 9, Photon. He was third and similar in his last start. Chris Engelhart, Cornelio Velasquez, got to throw him in the mix. 5, 8, and 9. In the Aqueduct fifth race.
That brings us up to our last break of the hour. When we come back, we'll complete our look at Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
I'm Mark Casano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Continuing now our look at Aqueduct with race number 6. Conditional claim or 12-5 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime, going 6 furlongs.
No big surprise here. One entry, 3-11. The David Jacobson entry, I have to put him on top. The 1A LOL is on the also eligible. He's got different riders named on. Cornelio Vasquez on the plain one. David Cohen on the 1A. So, I mean, if he decides to scratch the number one, What About Honor, LOL is going to get in. So you'll have to see what David does here. But, either one should win. And probably What About Honor is even money. It probably has a better shot. He's dropping down from 35,000, where he was a close third, down to the 12.5 level. So if he does run in this race, I think he's a kick in the pants. And if he comes out and the 1A runs LOL, he was third at this level last time. Absolutely no reason why he couldn't win it also. So we'll have to wait and see. But really, the David Jacobson entries is too tough to overlook in this race today for me. For second, I trying to find something with some value. I went to the number 3, Ocala Jim. Ocala Jim's dropping down from the state bred entry level allowance. 05, never went 2 life. He's 20-1 in the morning line. And, his best race obviously was on the turf when he broke his maiden back in at Belmont. But you know what? Before that, he was second sprinting at the $20,000 state bred maiden level, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. So if he can repeat that at 20-1, let's throw him in there. For third, I went with the number 11, Deferred Asset. Deferred Asset, I'm going to say he had an adjustment race last time. I call it an adjustment race because the first 7 races of his career he spent on the turf. Moved him to the dirt last time, and that can be an adjustment for a horse that's never run on the dirt. They're going to get a lot of kickback. He got kind of in the middle of it and maybe gave him a chance to get accustomed to it. Trevor McCarthy coming in to ride. Young fella, son of Mike McCarthy, makes us all feel old when we see all these sons of the riders I rode with riding now, but does a very, very nice job. So at 10-1, I think with just that race under his belt on the dirt, experiencing the dirt one time, maybe he can move forward. So 1-3-11 in the Aqueduct 6 race.
Race 7 today, an optional claiming event, 14 tags, non-winners and one other than the condition. These are New York breds going 1.70 miles.
3, 4, and 6 here, Seth. Number 3, Penthouse Party. Coming in from Maryland for trainer Mary Epler and Victor Carrasco, who many people are saying is maybe in the lead for the Eclipse Award for Apprentice this year, racking up tons of wins down at Laurel. And what I thought was interesting about Penthouse Party is this is a New York bred and hasn't run in New York since July of 2012. Mary Epler certainly knows what she's doing. I've known Mary for a very, very long time. I don't think she's coming to New York unless she thinks she has a chance. It's a trip. There's expenses, and bringing Victor Carrasco to ride. At 8-1, I've got to put him in there because, like I said, although he's been run primarily on turf this year in the Mid-Atlantic region, his one start on the dirt was an off the turf in the Delaware Slop, which he won. And it's just my gut feeling that Mary's not coming, Victor's not coming, unless they really think they have a good chance. The money's there, $67,000 pot. So let's put Penthouse Party at 8-1 on top. For second, I went with the number 4, Concealed. Concealed has speed. It's got Chucky Lopez aboard. Chucky's going to send this horse right along. Held on for third last time at $35,000 in an open race. I think fits well in here. If Chucky gets out there, be able to relax her a little bit. We'll put him in the second spot. And for third, the number 6, Rebellious Chick. Handled inner dirt last year, which is always a good sign. When they show they handle it, it's going to be returning to it. All 3 of her starts in 2013 have been on the turf, but she's going back to a track that she also ran well on. So let's put her in the third spot. 3, 4, and 6 in the Aqueduct 7.
8th race today is another optional claiming event, 25 tags, non-winners and one other than. They'll go 1.16 miles.
Went 6-9 with the 1 entry here. The number 6. Tiz Chris is in for the allowance portion of this event and hasn't run poorly in 4 lifetime starts. We're going to take, a couple seconds, broke the maiden, then second in an entry-level allowance race. And I think Tiz Chris will get a very nice stalking trip today. There's plenty of speed in here, including toward his inside, and then on his outside, the number 8, Osceola Prince has Chucky on. Chucky's going to go. And what I thought was interesting is that, the connections are willing to hold on to this horse. Yes, they paid over $500,000 for him, and they're not ready to drop him down. I think he still has some room for improvement, so let's put Tiz Chris on top. For second, I went with the number 9, Finn's Quest. His prior race was definitely a step in the right direction. He won but was disqualified that day. He has a similar running style as Tiz Chris, and I think it's going to set up very well for both of them because there's plenty of speed in here. So let's put Finn's Quest in the second spot. And for third, the David Jacobson entry. You can't leave him out. The number Past the Tap and Dan and Sheila. Past the Tap was third this spot last time. Dan and Sheila won at 20,000 starter allowance in his previous race. Again, you just can't leave Jacobson out of just about anything he throws out there now. So 6-9 with the one entry in the Aqueduct 8th.
Wrapping it up today, the 9th race is a B-level claimer, 12-5 tags, 3-year-olds and up, mile and 70.
7, 2, and 5 here. The number 7, Amber Coast, fits the first part of this condition. Is going to be stretching out. Has never won on the dirt. It's only made 3 starts, so there's a bit of a small sampling, but should be forwardly placed today. And again, should be able to get a decent position. Always have to respect Rudy Rodriguez. I'm going to get 5-1 with the Rudy horse. I think I'll take it. For second, I went to the number 2, Pasta Lover. 20-1 in your morning line. Pasta Lover fits the third part of this condition. And in fact, her last win on the dirt doesn't even show up on the page, so easily fits the date on here of not winning on the dirt since June 29th. You know, and Pasta Lover kind of clunked along for third last time out in his previous start for 16,000. If he can do the same today at 20-1, that's all he's got to do is just keep clunking along and get on the board for me. I'll be quite happy with that. For third to number 5, Festive Spirit. Off since March. I think his best race puts him in the money, but he might not be quite ready to fire his best bullet, but good enough to be on the board. 7, 2, and 5 in the Aqueduct finale.
That'll wrap things up for the Handicappers Report for this Sunday morning. We took a look at Aqueduct and Gulfstream there, but 2 of the tracks you'll be able to enjoy on the network this afternoon. Plenty of racing action for you to play. We'll kick things off with Aqueduct, move on to Tampa, Gulfstream, Fairgrounds, Hawthorne, Santa Anita, Dover Downs, Mountaineer, Pompano, Balmoral, and a little later on this evening, Australia A and Australia B. Don't forget, if you didn't get a chance to write down our selections, head on over to capitalotb.com. Over on the right-hand side of the page, there is a link to the Handicappers Report. Nice printable page with all our selections each and every racing day. Again, that'll wrap things up for the Handicappers Report for this Sunday morning. Seth Merrill and Jeff Caro, good luck at the races this afternoon. Coming up next, it's Loose on the Lead.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.